Good morning. It's good to be here and to be with you. I'm Cecil Huey, and I'm a member of the UU Fellowship of Clemson's Worship Associate Team. Each week, this community comes together to participate in worship, music, and reflection. This is where we seek to have our hearts opened and our imaginations fired. This is a place that reminds us that we are deeply connected to one another and to all living things. Even though our buildings are closed, we gather together for weekly online worship at 11:30 on Sunday mornings. We also gather for social connections and the sharing of joys and concerns in our Zoom meeting that follows the service. Please join us. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. This fellowship is a religious community grounded in the heritage and principles of the Unitarian Universalism. We seek to create loving community, inspire joy and spiritual growth, and support courageous action. All are welcome regardless of religious background, political persuasion, ethnicity, age, ability, sexual orientation, or gender identity expressions. If you have a desire to explore questions of truth and meaning and are respectful of our diversity of people and beliefs, you found kindred spirits here. If you'd like more information about this fellowship or Unitarian Universalism, please see information about us on our website, uufc.org. If you're interested in getting our weekly newsletter so you can get connected to the community for online social events, our weekly sharing of joys and concerns, and our collective efforts to support local social justice work, please reach out to the office by the email on our website. I have some announcements for the week, and all of these announcements are included in our weekly connection newsletter with additional information and contact points, and you can just contact the UUFC office for further information as well. On Sunday, March 21st, we'll have a social time chat following the Sunday service. Everyone's invited to join for the social chat on Sunday following the service at 11:30 a.m. Get something to drink or eat and dial into this Zoom gathering. On Wednesday, March 24th, join Reverend Christina for a cup of coffee via Zoom each week on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. That's a weekly event. All are welcome for that chat. And on March 28th, we have a virtual tea tasting at 2 p.m. So I think that'll be an interesting event for everyone. On Sunday, April the 4th, we will have our annual outdoor flower communion. And on April the 5th, Zoom meditation with Jean at 8 p.m. We also have a new pledge donation system that's being implemented. And on Thursday, April the 1st, we will be using a service called Vanco instead of PayPal to process online transactions. There's more information online on the website, and it'll be actually more convenient for everybody. And so if you're using PayPal or online transactions, please refer to that. And you will be contacted, however, if necessary, to kind of smooth that transition. Our daily rest is part of our social action efforts. It's a mainstay at UUFC, and it's the work we do to help feed the homeless in our daily rest facilities in Seneca. And for this month, the UUFC Benevolence is Clemson Community Care. And typically a quarter of the Sunday service cash collection is sent to the monthly benevolence with no in-person donation. Food donations can be dropped off at the Clemson Community Care on Mondays through Thursdays at 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. So if you have food to be donated to the Clemson Community Care, you can do that personally during those hours. And as I mentioned in the beginning, there are further details and clarifications of all these things in the newsletter. And finally, we're encouraged to donate blood as we can, to pay attention to the needs of others, and to stay actively involved in the concerns of the community. If you have an online event of your own that you'd like to have others participate in, or just have a meeting or virtual storytelling, contact the UUFC office. We can get it shared in the weekly connection, and if necessary, the office personnel can help you set that up. And if you need tech help, all of us need tech help. And if you have particular need for it, if you need to know how to better connect to Zoom meetings or participate in Zoom meetings, if you need better headphones or microphones and things of that sort, we can provide that kind of support. So again, contact the UUFC office for guidance there. So we're eager to help everybody get connected, so to speak. Our call to worship for this morning was written by Evan Carvo Zemer. If we lived in another climate, our souls might speak other languages. We might speak oasis or permafrost, dry season or monsoon. But our souls speak spring. Our souls speak green shoots pushing through last year's leaves. Our souls speak flower buds stretching to the sun. Our souls speak mud puddles and nest building, damp earth and worm castings, tiny green leaves and frog choruses. We speak spring because spring sings in us. We gather to nurture our faith and our own growing, our own courage to push through, our own blossoming in beauty, our own small part in the spring of this world. Come, let us worship together.
When I was a boy, each week on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. Now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Child's face, say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
My name's Jojo.
We gather together in a spirit of love, with justice as our guide. This is our chosen covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth with freedom, and to care for one another. Thank you. And now we share our joys and concerns. The journey of life brings both pleasures and pains, satisfactions and regrets. As persons who are seeking truth and meaning, our everyday task is one of honoring such experiences, as well as integrating them. We fit the pieces together, and in doing so, find the larger shape our lives are reaching towards. Part of this process of meaning making can be the ritual of joys and concerns to which we now turn. These stones are smooth and they have some weight. They're indicative of both life's pleasures and times of ease, as well as life's burdens and times of heaviness. This stone we place in calming waters is in honor of those who died this week due to racial violence against Asian Americans. As religious people, we speak out against bigotry, hatred, and violence, and actively work to uproot and dismantle these things in every area of our lives. This stone is for those who have been dealing with isolation and with physical and emotional challenges. May you have renewed hope and health. This stone is for those still awaiting a vaccine appointment. May your opportunity come soon. And this stone is for the children among us who have to hold on a little longer during this pandemic as they await a safe and effective vaccine. We know it has been a long, long year. And this stone is in celebration of the first time the children were able to get together at the fellowship outside as we decorated the art car that I brought covered in chalk paint. Look for pictures of their faces in the weekly connection. And this final stone is for those joys and concerns not shared yet, and perhaps held quietly in our hearts. What touches one touches all of us. We are grateful for these sacred connections that enable us to remember, to celebrate, to love, and to care.
Good morning! It's good to be with you all again, and happy Ostara, or spring equinox. I have a couple of things I'd like to show you this morning. Do you see what I have here? That's right, I have a candy bar and an apple. If I asked you to pick just one of these, which would you choose? I'll bet most of you said the candy bar, but I know some of you probably said the apple too. Maybe you picked the candy bar because you really love chocolate, or because it's a rare treat. Maybe you picked the apple because you're trying to eat healthy, or because you know that apples and peanut butter make a really tasty snack together. My dog Buster certainly thinks so. There are all kinds of reasons why we choose one thing instead of another. Most of the time, we don't really even think about why we made the choice we made. But sometimes it can be helpful for us to think about our choices before we make them, especially if we want that choice to make a difference to us, to the planet, or to the people around us. Today's story is about a little girl who thought long and hard about how she would choose to make the world more beautiful. Miss Rumphius. Story and Pictures by Barbara Cooney. The Lupine Lady lives in a small house overlooking the sea. In between the rocks around her house grow blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. The Lupine Lady is little and old, but she has not always been that way. I know. She is my great aunt, and she told me so. Once upon a time, she was a little girl named Alice, who lived in a city by the sea. From the front stoop, she could see the wharves and the bristling masts of tall ships. Many years ago, her grandfather had come to America on a large sailing ship. Now he worked in a shop at the bottom of the house, making figureheads for the prows of ships and carving Indians out of wood to put in front of cigar stores. For Alice's grandfather was an artist. He painted pictures, too, of sailing ships and places across the sea. When he was very busy, Alice helped him put in the skies. In the evening, Alice sat on her grandfather's knee and listened to his stories of faraway places. When he had finished, Alice would say, "When I grow up, I too will go to faraway places, and when I grow old, I too will live beside the sea." "That is all very well, little Alice," said her grandfather, "but there is a third thing you must do." "What is that?" asked Alice. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful," said her grandfather. "All right," said Alice, but she did not know what that could be. In the meantime, Alice got up and washed her face and ate porridge for breakfast. She went to school and came home and did her homework. And pretty soon, she was grown up. Then my great-aunt Alice set out to do the 3 things she had told her grandfather she was going to do. She left home and went to live in another city far from the sea and the salt air. There she worked in a library, dusting books and keeping them from getting mixed up and helping people find the ones they wanted. Some of the books told her about faraway places. People called her Miss Rumphius now. Sometimes she went to the conservatory in the middle of the park. When she stepped inside on a wintry day, the warm, moist air wrapped itself around her, and the sweet smell of jasmine filled her nose. "This is almost like a tropical isle," said Miss Rumphius, "but not quite." So Miss Rumphius went to a real tropical island where people kept cockatoos and monkeys as pets. She walked on long beaches, picking up beautiful shells. My great-aunt Miss Alice Rumphius climbed tall mountains where the snow never melted. She went through jungles and across deserts. She saw lions playing and kangaroos jumping, and everywhere she made friends she would never forget. One day, getting off a camel, she hurt her back. "What a foolish thing to do," said Miss Rumphius. "Well, I have certainly seen faraway places. Maybe it is time to find my place by the sea." And it was, and she did. From the porch of her new house, Miss Rumphius watched the sun come up. She watched it cross the heavens and sparkle on the water, and she saw it set in glory in the evening. She started a little garden among the rocks that surrounded her house, and she planted a few flower seeds in the stony ground. Miss Rumphius was almost perfectly happy. "But there is still one more thing I have to do," she said. "I have to do something to make the world more beautiful." "But what? The world is already pretty nice," she thought, looking out over the ocean. The next spring, Miss Rumphius was not very well. Her back was bothering her again, and she had to stay in bed most of the time. The flowers she had planted the summer before had come up and bloomed in spite of the stony ground. She could see them from her bedroom window, blue and purple and rose-colored. "Lupines," said Miss Rumphius with satisfaction. "I have always loved lupines the best. I wish I could plant more seeds this summer so that I could have still more flowers next year." But she was not able to. After a hard winter, spring came. Miss Rumphius was feeling much better. Now she could take walks again. One afternoon she started to go up and over the hill where she had not been for a long time. "I don't believe my eyes," she cried when she got to the top, for there on either side of the hill was a large patch of blue and purple and rose-colored lupines. "It was the wind," she said as she knelt in delight. "It was the wind that brought the seeds from my garden here, and the birds must have helped." Then Miss Rumphius had a wonderful idea. She hurried home and got out her seed catalogs. She sent off to the very best seed house for 5 bushels of lupine seed. All that summer, Miss Rumphius, her pockets full of seeds, wandered over fields and headlands, sowing lupine seeds. She scattered seeds along the highways and down the country lanes. She flung handfuls of them around the schoolhouse and back of the church. She tossed them into hollows and along stone walls. Her back didn't hurt her any more at all. Now, some people called her that crazy old lady. The next spring, there were lupines everywhere. Fields and hillsides were covered in blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. They bloomed along highways and down the lanes. Bright patches lay around the schoolhouse and back of the church. Down in the hollows and along the stone walls grew the most beautiful flowers. Miss Rumphius had done the 3rd the most difficult thing of all. My great-aunt Alice, Miss Rumphius, is very old now. Her hair is very white. Every year there are more and more lupines. Now they call her the Lupine Lady. Sometimes my friends stand with me outside her gate, curious to see the old lady who planted the fields of lupines. When she invites us in, they come slowly. They think she is the oldest woman in the world. Often she tells us stories of faraway places. When I grow up, I tell her, I too will go to faraway places and come home to live by the sea. That is all very well, little Alice, says my aunt, but there is a third thing you must do. What is that? I ask. You must do something to make the world more beautiful. All right, I say. But I do not know yet what that could be.
We live in a part of the country that was occupied for centuries and centuries before the Europeans appeared by the Native Americans. And in this part of the North America, as well as a large part of North America. The natives relied on agriculture, and the backbone of their agricultural practices were three food crops. One was corn, one were beans, and the other was squash. And those were referred to as the three sisters. And they referred to that way because they are complementary to one another. The corn grows in tall stalks and provides support for beans that climb upward. The squash grows in lower plants, and the squash was planted around the roots of the beans and corn and provided shade in the summer months and helped conserve moisture. And so the combination of the three was successful. And it's interesting that because the Native Americans in North America had no domesticable animals of any size, there were no horses or oxen or anything to help them with their agricultural work. And so everything was done by manpower. And so they tended to plant things in patches rather than long straight rows and so forth. And so this year we provided to all of our young people and families of young people some packets of seeds. And they're packets of corn, squash, and beans. And included in the packet are some instructions for planting a small Three Sisters garden. And the varieties chosen here are compatible with the varieties that they would use in this area. And the particular corn is kind of, it's decorative. It produces ears of corn with multicolors. It's also corn that pops. The Indians had popcorn, so feel free to pop it. And of course you can eat it in any way that corn is eaten. So online, you can Google up you find all kinds of guidance for planting Three Sisters gardens. And so I would encourage everybody to give it a try. And all of our young people who have these packets of seeds, good luck. And perhaps in the fall, we can have a feast with the products of our efforts this summer.
Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Today's meditation comes from the work of David Sneeden. And this meditation on planting today is a celebration of the spring equinox, a day of balance between daytime and nighttime. It's a day that reminds us of the coming of the splendor of spring for all of us in the Northern Hemisphere. And spring, it's a season of hope, of renewal, and the bursting forth of new life all around us. And imagine, life itself is in this seed. It all begins with soil. Earth itself, clay from which we are made and to which we all return, soil rich and aromatic, crumbling in my fingers, dark underneath my nails. This cleansing dirt, the natural filter for aquifer, holds life. Once weathered rock and dissolved mineral, now joined with humus, decaying material feeding hungry fungus and bacteria, you are living, made of living organisms and giving us life. Forgive us for treating you like dirt, overlooked as we walk over you without a second look, littered with our discarded cartons and plastic bags. Forgive us our seeping toxins from clever industrial innovations. Forgive us and accept these seeds. Seeds, the promise of future life. May you germinate and live into your full potential. Let your roots feel and follow the earth's gravity down, and let your green shoots break through to the surface and feel the light. Future plant, thank you. Thank you for converting sunlight into chemical energy that allows life to flourish. Thank you, literally, for the food we eat. Thank you and accept this water. Water, the fundamental compound. We are only a part of your journey, little petals making mud, cumulonimbus clouds above, the glaciers melting above us tower, sprinkling in a springtime shower, the unimaginable expanse of an ocean's depth and vapor in our dying breath. You are in us all. You are in every cell of our being. Water. Continue to flow. Continue to allow life to grow. Continue to quench our thirst, continuing your cycle through the earth. Transpiration and evaporation, condensation and precipitation. Continue to filter and trickle into springs, finally reaching the sea, only to continue your journey again. Your journey into the air. Air, solution of gases invisible but felt, held and heard. We feel you as the air pressure changes and the trees' leaves dance in your wind. We hold you in an anticipation. You are our life breath, flowing in and out of all of us. Oxygen in and carbon dioxide out. Inhale, exhale, flowing back and forth between plant and person, algae and animal. We hear you, air. You are the conveyance of our encouraging words and the uplifting music as our waves vibrate. You surround us and expand throughout our atmosphere, beyond the stratosphere, towards our sun. Sun, little yellow star, great source of life's energy, bringer of light and warmth, harbinger of the new day. As we see you again, another rotation on our axis. Roiling, radiant plasma, your solar rays give us hope. Hope for a new tomorrow. Hope for warmth after a long winter. Hope for light when the future seems dark and so hard to see. Brilliant, giant sun, shine down on our little earth and bring life into being. So ends our meditation.
Round and round the earth is turning, turning always round till morning, and from morning round till night. Round and round the earth
Around 30 years ago, I was visiting the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico for a beach vacation with friends on a shoestring budget. We had plans one day to drive inland, so we rented a car. When they delivered it to our hotel, we saw that it was an old Volkswagen Bug. It had no air conditioning, and it used a cranky stick shift. And unfortunately, we learned that there were little left of the shocks on the car either. But we were determined. We wanted this adventure, and off we went. On a hot, sunny day, we left the coast and drove into the jungle to visit the Mayan ruins of the city of Chichen Itza. After a long and bumpy journey, we arrived to find a wondrous place. An excavated 4 square miles, Chichen Itza was thought to have been a religious, military, political, and commercial center that at its peak could hold up to 35,000 people. This place, founded in the 6th century by the Maya people who had been living in the area since 1500, built a city in the middle of the jungle. In the century to follow, the Toltecs conquered the Maya and took power of the area, and they added to the original city a pyramid that rose 79 feet high in the main plaza. This pyramid had 4 sides, each with 91 stairs facing a cardinal direction. 91 steps on each side, plus the last step on the top platform. These combine to be 365 steps, the number of days in the solar year. And the pyramid was built to display on the spring and the autumn equinoxes shadows cast by the setting sun to give the appearance of a snake undulating down the stairways. Here's an image of the phenomenon on the pyramid. I climbed to the top of that pyramid, and I was fascinated by the mathematical and engineering wonder of it all. This pyramid captures the fleeting moment in which the plane of the Earth's equator passes through the center of the sun's disk, and the length of day and night are equal all over the Earth. This is captured on this pyramid in such a vision of simplicity and beauty. I have always wanted to return one of these days of the equinox to see it in person, and maybe I will one day. Reverend Thomas Rhodes reflects on the equinox that it invites us to let the moment of balance and proportion spark meaning of revelation and epiphany. He suggests that we let a new consciousness arise, that within our hearts, the great rhythm of our lives can shift, and a new way of being can reveal itself. For this one precious instant, the nexus of our body and the seat of our soul can truly exist as one. He asks us to give thanks for these times in our lives when all seems in balance. For those times are rare and precious. The equinox, he writes, shall pass. The revelation may be forgotten, and our actions will not always reflect our true selves. But through our gratitude, we may remember who we are, reflect on who we may become, and restore the balance which brings equanimity to our lives. Last year in 2020, the equinox made an earlier than usual arrival because of the peculiarities of the calendar, it was the earliest arrival of the equinox in 124 years. But decades from now, that equinox will best be remembered as the time when much of the world had just started hunkering down because of the COVID-19 pandemic. It was a disconcerting time. The call of the spring equinox is ancient and primal. Writer Ashley Strickland wrote, "For millennia, humankind has tracked the sun and the seasons and celebrated the promise of renewal and rebirth by joining together outdoors. Yet, in 2020, we were compelled to do the opposite, retreating indoors and into isolation to slow the march of the coronavirus. Now, 2021 offers signs of a return to normalcy. The spring equinox is going back to its more usual date of March 20th, yesterday. And with more COVID-19 vaccinations being distributed by the day all around the world, the number of COVID infections and deaths are dropping. The hope that spring traditionally represents rebirth and renewal seem within our grasp. I've been asking at this time, what of the normal do we want to return to? To ask that, what we want to renew at this time is also asking, what are we committed to? As Reverend Rhodes invited us to reflect on this, ultimately the question is, who are we and who do we want to become? I appreciate the story that Karen shared earlier about the little girl who was asked to think long and hard about how she would choose to make the world more beautiful. And it took a lifetime for her to answer it. Like her, I want to bring more beauty to this world, and more love, and more understanding, and more justice. I want to contribute to the world through my commitment to myself and to others that I will choose to bless the world. I am moved by the poignant words of Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker. Here is a video of her reading, one of the most beautiful readings I know.
Choose to Bless the World by Reverend Rebecca Parker. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question. What will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with an intention to do good. It is an act of recognition a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. There is an embrace of kindness that encompasses all life, even yours. And while there is injustice, anesthetization, or evil, there moves a holy disturbance, a benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting, that which is sacred will not be defiled. Those who bless the world live their life as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility waiting.
When I reread this reading in preparation for this sermon, tears welled up in my eyes. These tears compel me to remember the invitation from Reverend Rhodes. I will let the significance of this year's equinox, a day of balance and proportion, spark meaning as revelation and epiphany. I want to be moved to bless the world with my life. I want to let a new consciousness arise in me, that within my heart, the great rhythm of my life can shift and reveal itself. Like the splendor of the snake on the side of the pyramid of Chichen Itza that is revealed by the sunset of the equinox, I will let a new way of being reveal itself. What, my friends, is being revealed to you? How do you want to bless this world? I look forward to hearing about your revelations and joining you in the ways you choose to bless the world. And as we choose to bless the world together with our hands, our actions, our lives itself, may we as a religious community support each other in this daily endeavor to bring about our visions of a world renewed by beauty, love, understanding, and justice. Amen.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour, of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. for the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild, source of all to thee we raise, this our hymn of grateful praise.
As we come to the end of the service, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.